Welcome to the Driving the World podcast series. I'm your host, Cully Holland. Today we have Greg Galbraith from the Corporate Electronics Department, and we'll be discussing some of our decentralized portfolio. Hey, Greg, how are you doing today?
Hey, doing well, Cully.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. Very excited to have you on here to talk about our decentralized portfolio. So I believe most of our customers are very familiar with SEW having VFD options. But I know with myself, when I think of a VFD, I'm thinking of something in a panel and not something that's very accessible. But you're here to tell us that might not be the truth all the time?
Right, Cully. So we have a product line called the Decentralized Electronics. It's basically everything outside of the cabinet. So everything that we can do, that you can do in the cabinet, we can now do outside of the cabinet.
Okay, so when you're saying outside of the cabinet, are we saying like just doesn't need a cabinet, or is it right next to the unit? Like how does that work, not needing a whole enclosure?
So what that means is that exactly that. It's on the machine or near the machine or near the application. It's outside of the cabinet itself proper.
Very cool. So I like the sounds of that already, but what are some of the pros? Why would a customer prefer that over just rocking and rolling with the usual cabinet mounted VFDs?
Well, for one thing, it cuts your cabinet size down. Most MCCs or master control panels or enclosures, they're very expensive to build, and they take a large footprint up. With the decentralized electronics, you take that away. You take away the cabinet cost, and you also take away the footprint of the cabinet itself.
So that's a win-win right out the gate.
Right. It's also easier to install.
Okay.
It's because we have hybrid cabling. Goes out. So essentially what would happen is that you would have your power distribution coming in from your control panel.
Right.
Your power and your 24 volts and sometimes your communications come out from the distribution panel. It will come into our inverter, and then from there you can have a communication, power and auxiliary all in one cable. So you have a single cable technology, which makes installation very clean and easy.
And forgive me if I'm wrong, but they have to run power to the motors anyway, even if they're running just a normal AC motor. So that is included in this one cable technology?
Correct. But it's just incoming power. You don't have to deal with the losses that you have. And that's a big issue that a lot of people have now that they're trying to be green. With the green initiatives, you have tremendous losses from the inverter out to the actual motor yourself. You're talking 100, 200 feet worth of VFD cable hanging out there doing nothing but just consuming.
Wow. Okay. So we're already hitting the green levels and we're going to be more efficient. And you touched on installations easier. So, I mean, I would imagine that if you have to open a control cabinet and power it down, replacing VFDs might be a bit of a hassle. So for replacement units, is it just as simple as the installation, or is there some tricks to it?
Well, no, you still have to follow your standard lockout, tag out procedures, of course. But these happen to be very easy because the inverter is mounted on the device itself. You just take these 4 screws off and you can replace the inverter on it.
So it's as simple as replacing a lid and you have a brand new VFD?
Right, exactly. And it's even simpler now because we now have what we call a DIMM module. Which holds all the parameters in the unit.
Wow, okay.
So you don't have to go about doing a complete startup all over again. You just have we have what is known as a single cable, digital motor integration.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So this digital motor integration has an electronic nameplate on the device itself, which reads it into the e-cover itself. Okay. So you have seamless startup on it. So it makes startup easier. We, of course, can also have what we're doing as a third-party motor startup where we can still do a manual startup of the device.
Okay.
But we can also do that off the dip switches of the DIMM modules. If you're using our motor, if you're using SEW motors, you can do a simple, easy startup by just selecting the dip switches for that.
Wow. Okay. So we're already green, and it sounds like this is a huge time saver when it comes to replacements. And we all know that time is money. So we're hitting on both fronts there. So I already really like this decentralized portfolio. What does SEW have to offer? Because, I mean, we've spoken about it in the past on the podcast that SEW is involved in it and has been involved. But I'm assuming we have a new line or something coming out soon with the decentralized portfolio?
Right. So currently we are launching the MOVI-C decentralized on it. It's a unified platform.
Okay.
What I mean by unified is that in the past we've had different controlled technologies
Okay.
or ideas from one product line to the product line for another product line. Even though that we used the same software,
Right.
everything was a little bit different in how you configured it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's say you have a let's say you have a MOVI-Drive B, which
Right.
is our in-cabinet inverter.
Right.
Okay, so and then you have a decentralized MOVI-Mont D.
Mm-hmm.
The two aren't really the same
Okay.
within the software.
Gotcha.
Okay, some are limited in some of the parameters that you get with the MOVI-Drive B that you don't have the MOVI-Mont D. Some of the functionality isn't the same. That type of stuff.
Okay.
With the MOVI-C platform, they've made a unified process. Okay, unified meaning that it doesn't matter what inverter you have,
Okay.
it's going to act the same.
I mean, that sounds really convenient to me.
It is. It makes things a lot easier to do startups for it. Okay.
Okay.
With the MOVI-C, we have what is known as MOVI kits or application modules.
Okay.
Okay. And that makes it even easier for the end user to start their unit up. So we can do something as simple as velocity. We can go and move into positioning.
Right.
And then we have customizable MOVI kits like rapid creep or stacker crane or any number of things that we
Okay.
have. We have over 20 MOVI kits right now.
And these are all accessible on our decentralized as well?
Correct.
That
Everything
is phenomenal.
everything that you can do within the in cabinet, you can do out of cabinet. And with our horsepower range, we meet 90% of the applications out there in the field.
Okay.
From
So
1 horsepower to 10 horsepower ranges.
1 to 10. Okay. So what are we looking at here? Because 1 to
So-
10 is a great range, but like let's kind of get an idea of what's in front of us, just so we have like a size reference of what our customers will be working with.
Okay, great idea. So here, this is our small size inverter. This is a 2 to a 3.2 amp
Okay.
inverter. Okay. This is our 4 to 5.5 amp inverter.
Right.
And this here is our new one. It goes from 7 amps all the way up to 16 amps.
So when we're talking amps, 7 to 16 amps, what kind of horsepower do you
That's
think
usually
that would-
about 5 to 10 horsepower.
Okay. So this one's going to be on the larger end of our
Correct.
capabilities.
You'll see this more on our MOVI-Mont Advanced
Okay.
as well as our MOVI-Mont Performances.
Okay. So we have a MOVI-Mont Advance, a MOVI-Mont Performance. What would be, say, maybe one more big name that our customers should be on the lookout
Should
for?
be able to be a MOVI-Mont Flexible.
Okay.
And that will be, for this size, you'll be known in our size 2 class.
Size 2. Okay.
Right.
So this is a size 2,
This is a size 1.
and that is a size 1.
Right.
Okay. So real quick, let's go through the performance, advanced, and flexible, and maybe touch on what each of those 3 would be used for. And I think that would about wrap it up for our decentralized.
Okay. So we're going to start with the MOVI Gear Performance, which is our mechatronic unit.
Okay.
We have, and most commonly you'll see this more often, and it's on a lot of conveyors and stuff like that. Then we can move on to our MOVI-Mont Performance,
Okay.
which is our next level up that's replacing the DRC motor,
Okay.
which is also a permanent magnet motor.
So the DRC is a permanent magnet motor.
Right.
And real quick, the mechatronic, what is that? Is that
Okay.
just
So the mechatronic is anything is electrical and mechanical in the same device.
Okay, so we have a gearbox and a motor with a VFD in the same housing.
Correct.
Very cool.
Very cool. So yes, it is. And then we move on to the MOVI-Mont Advanced,
Right.
which is our next step from the MOVI-Mont D that everybody's familiar with. This has been our bread and butter,
Right.
which is our first real decentralized mechatronic device that SEW produced.
So it's still just growing and building on the first one we made.
Correct.
Fantastic.
Correct. As a matter of fact, we could. It's actually even better now because we can go up into the higher horsepower sizes now.
Constantly getting better. I like it.
Right. And then lastly, we have the field distributors.
Gotcha.
These you can kind of refer to those of who are familiar with the Z8s or the Z6s, which are field distributors for MOVI-D.
Okay.
These are the MOVI flexibles.
Gotcha.
And the MOVI flexibles can run an asynchronous motor,
Okay.
a permanent magnet motor,
Wow.
servo motor type thing. So it can run our CM3Cs, our CMP motors, and we can also run our MOVI Gear Classic on it.
So they can kind of just be
It
a
is
broadband spectrum.
correct. And soon we'll be able to run our less permanent magnet motors.
Fantastic.
Yeah, which is our DR2C motors.
Very cool. It sounds like we are just continuing to grow and innovate. So I'm expecting some new things in the future from Decentralized. So I might have to see you again.
Yes.
And of course, all of our customers out in the field can reach out to their regional salespeople if they have any more questions on the complete portfolio. And I'm sure that you'd be happy to help all of our guys out there in the field get the answers they need.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, fantastic, Greg. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you very much, sir.